What is up, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite sleepers this year, Darius Slayton, wide receiver for the New York Giants, and look at his fantasy outlook for the 2020 season. Before we get started, hit that subscribe button for me and get subscribed for more videos like this one, and let's get right into it. Now, last year, rookie season for Darius Slayton, no one really expected much from this guy coming in as a fifth-round pick. Didn't really have a massively productive college profile either, so kind of flew in under the radar, especially in dynasty leagues. Was a pretty late pick overall and came onto the scene and had quite a few games where he was able to show what his ability was, especially working with Daniel Jones. These guys came on at the same time, developing rapport together. Slew of injuries to plenty of the players on this team. There wasn't a single skill position player that didn't miss, at least top tier skill position player that didn't miss any time due to injury. We had injuries to Barkley, injuries to Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, Darius Slayton, and Evan Ingram as well. So a rough year for injuries for the Giants, but a bit of a bright spot with what Darius Slayton was able to show, at least in some of the games where everyone seemed to be a bit healthy. So finishing the year with 48 receptions, 740 receiving yards, but 8 touchdowns, a bit of a home run hitter, especially deep down the field. Now, he missed 2 games at the beginning of the year with a hamstring strain, and obviously that limited him for some time as well. But he finishes with 170 fantasy points, which was 37th at the position, and 12.1 fantasy points per game. So again, not someone that you could really classify as a breakout, but again, it was his rookie year, and he showed us a bit of a spark, which is typically all you can really expect from a rookie. Now we're expecting, hopefully, a much more productive second year. So when you look at his game script, obviously, as we mentioned, a bit limited the first couple weeks with that hamstring. Finally has a pretty good game against Minnesota. And then there's plenty of games where you are not happy starting Darius Slayton, but he gave a few weeks that really showed his ability to put up massive points, scoring multiple touchdowns in Week 10 and Week 14. Maintained a pretty high target volume as well for the majority of the middle of the season. Also suffered an injury towards the end of the year, barely played any snaps against Washington. So again, a bit of a back and forth year for him, but showed us quite a bit to be excited about, especially in those blow-up games, really developing a lot of rapport. And then the game against Philadelphia was even with Eli Manning. So a bit of a surprising year again for someone that we weren't really expecting to do much. So when we look at some of the metrics that led to the season that he had, obviously having plenty of deep targets, 19th overall at the position with 23 deep targets, 15.4 yards per reception, that put him at 20th in the entire NFL. One of the highest touchdown rates as well, obviously inflating some of those numbers. 8 touchdowns in only 48 receptions is actually ridiculous. 16.7% touchdown rate, which was tied for fifth in the NFL. His catchable target rate could have been much better, 78.3%, 46th in the NFL, and led to far more contested catches than you'd want with a speedster wide receiver similar to Darius Slayton. Only 33.3% contested catch rate, which was 27th in the NFL. So hopefully Daniel Jones can work a bit more on his accuracy and his rapport with Darius Slayton this year, and won't lead to as many contested catches as well. Average target distance also pretty high at 14.1, and ridiculous production premium of 24.2, which was 10th best in the NFL. So obviously, if we want there to be more consistency with Darius Slayton, it's going to have to come through increased volume, or else it's going to end up being this very high floor, very low very high ceiling, very low floor, week by week production profile. And honestly, in 2020, I think we'll probably expect to see a bit more of those boom bust weeks, because they still have Sterling Shepard and Golden Tate. Evan Ingram coming back from that Liz Frank injury, we'll see how healthy he is. But obviously, having plenty of targets to go around, we are expecting this offense to need to put up a lot of points to stay in the game. Not expecting their defense to really have much of a say in how their games go week in and week out. So could be a very sneaky offense for fantasy production. So Where some of the excitement comes is, for one, just expecting there to be some growth from year one to year two with Daniel Jones, hoping that Darius Slayton gets a bit more of the target share as they continue to develop. Sterling Shepard hasn't been able to finish a year without injuries for a while. Golden Tate is getting up there in age as well. So if we're looking at upside here, definitely plenty of upside for Darius Slayton. Right now, we have him projected to get a few more receptions, finishing with 68 this year, and that would put him at 937 receiving yards. That's even a tick down in yards per reception. We also have his total touchdowns dropping from 8 to 6. Again, not expecting him to maintain that ridiculous touchdown ratio, but if he does, obviously the upside is there for him. This would put him, in the realms of the wide receiver 3-4 range, but for a guy that you can get in round 9 and later, there's plenty of upside there. If Sterling Shepard or Golden Tate missed more time and Daniel Jones is taking the step forward that we're expecting him to take, Darius Slayton could be a massive boost for your fantasy team, for someone that you can get much later. These are the types of wide receivers we like to target later in drafts. Guys that, while no one's projecting to have a massive target share from the very beginning, doesn't really take much of a stretch of the imagination to see how quickly he could turn into a massive league winner for you if things go right. So taking guys like this later in your draft is typically a winning strategy. Plenty of upside with Darius Slayton. Love what the Giants could actually produce for fantasy this year. So taking a shot at guys like Darius Slayton to me makes more sense than taking a pick on a guy like Golden Tate. Yes, you can get Golden Tate a little bit later. Darius Slayton's ADP has been going up, so taking a shot on any of the receivers in this offense makes sense. But overall, my favorite is to go for Darius Slayton because he is the biggest home run hitter, gives you the highest potential ceiling of all those guys there, going right around the same place as Sterling Shepard, who, honestly, while I believe in Sterling Shepard's talent, for one, just hasn't been able to stay healthy, and two, it doesn't really give you the massive upside that you see from a guy like Darius Slayton. So if you're looking for more of a floor pick, then Sterling Shepard is your guy. But for picks, from rounds 8, 9 onwards, I'm really just looking for upside. So I don't think you're going to find more upside on New York than you will with Darius Slayton. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, hit that subscribe button for more content like this, and we'll see you in the next video.